Look, let's move on down to wide receiver. Obviously, this has been the big glaring hole for us. Terry, shout out to him having a great season, over 1,000 yards, playing the season that we've always wanted him to play. Now he's finally got his quarterback. And then there were the rest. Now we have Ertz, and do you want to make wide receiver and tight end separate?
Let's split them.
Okay.
Let's split them.
So taking Ertz out, now there's a big gap between Terry's numbers and the rest. I know Dyami's name was brought up, and you all know how I feel about Dyami Brown. We know what's up, Alex at HTTR. We know Noah Brown.
Mm-hmm.
He played his part when he was healthy. Olamide Zaccheaus played a big part for us. Obviously, there's that game where he had those fumbles. I mean, we've been able to get production far more than what we thought. But again, when we had those tough games and in those losses, teams showed, especially Philly, if we play too deep, keep everything in front of us, and we focus on Terry, the rest of those guys ain't going to beat us. So what do we do here? I mean, short of looking at everybody under Terry and just saying, whoop, just refilling it again. Like, what do you think?
T. Higgins, baby.
Oh,
come on. So yes, we need to improve at wide receiver. We had some good players who made plays. Noah Brown was a great surprise. He was our second leading receiver before he hurt his kidney, so he was a great surprise. Dyami Brown made some plays in the playoffs on that run that were really exciting. Zaccheaus made plays. He got first downs. But we need bigger than this. We need more. And this is a position that we need. We need to help Jaden with one or two guys.
Yes.
So whether it's through the draft, whether it's free agency, whether it's through a combination, we need to be addressing wide receiver and getting better. But also, I think promoting competition. I'm not going to steal too much, but I think it's okay to bring in guys and say, we're only keeping 6 of you, and I got 9 here. That type of competition to let them know that they're going to have to earn their spot. We don't know what we got in Luke McCaffrey. He'll be a second-year player, but from a wide receiver standpoint, he didn't show us much out on the field as a receiver at all. He made some kick returns, and the media all year long, sports reporters in DC kept saying, "Well, Luke is getting open. He's just not getting the ball." Well, he wasn't getting the ball. He wasn't making plays. So we don't know what we have in there, what you can rely on, because right now you're going into this roster with, you've got Terry and Luke McCaffrey, and that's it. I think you have signed. So they're going to need to bring in some competition. This is going to be a fun thing to watch. What do they turn this receiver group into?
Oh yeah, and between the draft, between free agency, and potentially who we re-signed, we saw at the beginning of this year they got rid of Jahan, which was at that point the only other guy that had production on the team, and we said, well, what are you guys doing? And they've made do with what they've had this year, but this has also been an issue. We don't have the threat of somebody else out there, a la Eagles with AJ Brown and Smith, Devonta Smith. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have those threats out there so that, okay, they shut this guy down, let's come over here, and we'll talk about this in a second, that we could say, oh, it's a tight end, he's the next best thing, but that there's still even a limit there with the explosiveness and how they can actually take over the game. So this in the draft and in free agency, is I've circled it. I had it. So we had this thing circled all season long. So this is what we've been waiting for, kind of to look at this, because I absolutely agree with you. And especially for my upcoming 2025 mock draft.
Yes.
There's going to be a couple extra slots for O-linemen. So you wide receivers, get it together. There might only be 5 of you this year. There might only be 5. Just let you know.
Well, but talking about your draft, the other thing we really got to think about is the fact that they are not saying that this is the deepest wide receiver class that they've had, because the last couple of years have been. So that's kind of important to say, like, does that either need to be prioritized early, or can you really go back saying, well, we'll just find somebody in the draft?
Yeah, right. All right. So these next couple weeks will be very telling to see where they go. I mean, you've talked about also Stephon Diggs and see if we can bring him back to his home area of the DMV and see if he wants to do an approved deal or something like that. So there might be a couple guys, and I think going back to the Cooper Kupp and Myles Garrett, there might be a couple guys that we don't even know that might get released or might get cut or something like that might have had their eye on Washington, but they didn't know at this time that they were going to be a free agent or have the ability to go elsewhere. So there are guys that this time last year that we had no clue when Austin Eckler or Bobby Wagner was even on the table, much less us started trying to talk about them. So, yeah, we'll see with this one.